What's up, gang? It's your boy, Finnegan, and it is Wisdom Wednesday today. I'm going to be talking about trees and how we should try to be more like trees, or to remember trees in our pursuit of fulfillment within ourselves, right? So let's get into it. So trees, what are trees? Well, they turn CO2 into oxygen that we can breathe in and survive off of. Trees produce food for us to eat. They produce shelter for a lot of different animals. They produce shelter for us. You know, when we chop them down, we get the lumber, we can build houses, we can start fires with wood. There's so many purposes for trees and the wood that they produce, and all the beauty of the trees and how they change color. And I think they're just such a wonderful analogy, metaphor for life and how we ought to live as people. Something I always try to remember, which I know I've mentioned in probably every single one of my videos, is balance, and how I struggle with that quite often. If I'm being completely honest, I struggle with keeping balance. I struggle with finding the right way to go with doing work and making sure I get good rest and making sure I eat properly and all these things. I really struggle with that, and so I try to remind myself, of course, in these videos, and you guys as well, to try and keep a good balance, especially when it comes to ethical dilemmas or political issues, religious issues, any of those hard topics. It's so important to maintain a balanced view, right? And to take all accounts into consideration. So back to trees. Trees, of course, well, how do they work? Well, they start off quite small, as we do as well. They plant their roots, they shoot their roots into the ground and begin to grow up afterwards. So just like trees, we need to root ourselves in, say, good traditions, in good practices that have stood the test of time, good teachings. Those are the roots that we shoot down, right? The humility, the family, being brave, the working hard, right? Is all part of that root system. But then what do the trees do, right? They branch out, they grow upwards and branch out towards the sun, which is, praise the sun. That is the whole Christian idea. And so I'm a Christian, or at least I try to be, and I try and preach the goodness of the gospel and how it's helped me in my life. And I think as Christians need to remember trees and to be like trees, and to recognize that not all trees have the exact same purpose, but that we are to turn carbon dioxide into freaking oxygen. Like, that makes any sense, considering that we actually do the opposite of that. But to turn darkness into light, to make something good out of the bad, or to make good things out of batter, like pancakes. What am I saying? When I make these videos, I feel so often that I understand exactly what I'm talking about and the point I'm trying to get across, and how it translates and applies to so many different areas of life. But sometimes the words I use to try and get those points across don't always make a bunch of sense. I don't know. You guys tell me in the comment section if I'm making any sense or not. Either way, trees, they're awesome. I like trees. Either way, here I'm looking at my notes here. I'll give you guys a peek at it. You got balance up in the corner there, and a bunch of stuff going on in the page. It seems also that we humans forget so often that we are nature. At our core of what we are, this biology, this body that I have, and the food that I consume to maintain it. It's all nature, right? I know that what we people really need is to reconnect with nature. Pizza's done? Yeah. All right. Pizza's done. So I'm gonna go eat some pizza and I'll be back later. What's up? I'm back. Had some pizza. I got my jacket, keep me nice and warm. And I've also got some Bible verses here that I was looking up, trying to figure out if I could find some verses on trees, because that's what we're talking about. Try and help us understand better how vital they are to our existence, of course, but also our spirituality, our faith, right? And now, of course, maybe not all of you watching this video are Christian. That's perfectly fine. However, I still know that there's lots to gain from the Bible and from the stories of the Bible. And so I hope that you will be willing to listen at the least. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To him who overcomes, I will grant to eat of the tree of life, which is in the paradise of God. So this is in Revelation, where I think it was John is having visions of the afterlife and heaven and all that stuff. And so, of course, I think I've also mentioned this probably in my aiming video about we're aiming for heaven, right? That's the goal, is to shoot upward, right? To branch out towards the sun. That's exactly what trees do. And us as Christians, we're to branch out towards the S-O-N of God. And I think it's just funny how in English that works. The S-O-N and S-U, the sun, right? So funny, so cool, I know. Just how awesome that is, that is so representative of what we believe in and how tied in with our nature that truly is. I think with all of this, what I hope to provide for you guys is maybe some peace of mind, maybe some new perspective, to maybe open your eyes just a little bit wider, bit by bit, as that is the goal, to open our eyes and open our ears, that we might see, that we might hear better what God has in store for us, and that we might follow those desires that are good. So yeah. Now, Revelation 22 verse 2. 3 2s. In the middle of its street. So this is in heaven. This is like the kingdom of God. This is the vision John had. In the middle of its street, on either side of the river, was the tree of life, bearing 12 kinds of fruit, yielding its fruit each month, and the leaves of the tree were for the healing of nations. Okay, so as we think about our society, it's nations, right? That's what we are on a larger scale, and we can see that nowadays our nations are getting a little bit out of hand. Obviously, we've made a lot of progress, but just something to keep in mind. Another thing to point out is that this tree of life sprouts up all over. It's not just one individual tree, right? Because it's on both sides of the river. It's trees, it's different shoots of one tree. And so I think that's how we ought to view ourselves as well, right? Being of one heart and one mind through Christ. That we are not, that we are individual, right? But we are also all interconnected into the human race. Don't you guys love this stuff? I just can run my mouth about the most profound things. I think it's just so beautiful and so encouraging and so enlightening, because I've been getting down a little bit lately, and when I remember these things and when I work through these things and when I'm like, wow, how beautiful is this life and all of its intricate pieces, I am just so thankful to exist, to be alive, to have the breath in my lungs, to be able to breathe the oxygen produced by these trees. Yeah. So back to the vision, right, of heaven, the thing we're aiming for, the goal, right, that these trees, the leaves on the trees that we get from the branches sprouting towards the sun are the healing of nations. Those leaves, right? What are those leaves? That's a good question. Maybe what do the leaves represent? The Lord's leaves? Bearing 12 kinds of fruit, yielding its fruit every month. Again, taking us back to the fruits of the Spirit, right? How many times have I gone? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Love, joy, peace. And it's just a reminder to stay fruitful, to be fruitful, to work hard, to plant your roots, to dig deep and plant your roots so that you might soak up nutrients, to reach your branches out towards the sun, and to take in the light, the beauty that is all around us, and shine that forth to the world. Be the healing to the world. So, okay, hopefully you guys could follow what I was saying there. I'm not gonna say that it was the most direct or clear or concise, but I am on my way. I'm making progress bit by bit, and I just love making these videos. If you guys like the videos, that's a bonus. I love making these videos. So either way, Wisdom Wednesday, stay thankful, peace and love.